I actually brought another example from basically our experience, how those statistics get calculated when it comes down to basically fund administration firms who usually do the reporting for their funds. And there are some, of course, those guys have limited possibilities there, but some things which I think show very precisely that individual reporting in this field is very necessary, especially when we come to more complex structures like hybrid bonds is, for example, when you go to hybrid perpetual bonds, so with no maturity, basically, the bonds are assumed to have time to maturity 0. And this is actually calculated in the time to maturity, which means that a bond which has no maturity, a perpetual bond, actually lowers the time to maturity, the average time to maturity. So obviously this is something which is indeed actually wrong. And hybrid structures, for example, do not usually take the call dates into account. So Mark, as you said, usually, especially when you have bonds which have a very high incentive to be redeemed, usually you should take the call date as the maturity, but in the standard reporting sphere, that's not the case, and the long-term maturity is taken into account, which on the other hand then of course raises the average time to maturity. So depending on your portfolio, that basically means that the average time to maturity of the statistic can either be totally misled or actually, it's really wrong. And the consequence, of course, is especially when you work with not only plain vanilla bonds, you should not report this average time to maturity calculated in a standard way by your fund administrator to your investors, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it all boils down to interest rate sensitivity. Interest rate sensitivity is a topic that everybody is talking about. Interest rates are at very, very low level. Interest rate sensitivity is high for bonds with a high duration, with a high average time to maturity.
Yeah.
And call dates, without a doubt, reduce interest rate sensitivity.
Yeah.
So, and this is something that is not incorporated in most fact sheets or in most calculations when it comes to calculating the average time to maturity or the duration of a portfolio. And one thing that is probably quite important here is the fact that hybrid securities, given the low interest rate environment, become more and more popular, both from the corporate side as well as from the investor side. More and more investors are looking into hybrid securities because this is a way where actually bonds can still earn money, and corporates are actually looking into issuing hybrid securities because there's much demand for them, and the interest rates have gone down much faster than the cost of equity has come down. There's a huge spread between equity valuations and bond valuations, and this makes it actually quite attractive for corporates to issue hybrid debt. And this makes it much more relevant than it was in the past to look at these figures and how we actually calculate them. This also was of relevance to us.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's already very helpful.